This is Valley View News, and these are today's headlines. The Lime bikes you see across CSUN's campus may not be there anymore. The Abilities Expo returns to LA for another year to showcase the latest inventions for the disabled. CSUN celebrates Black History Month with a free performance of the Fannie Lou Hamer story.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Natalia Vivino.
And I'm Kimberly Silverio.
The transportation company Lime will no longer be renting bicycles to its customers. Many CSUN students had been using Lime bikes as another method of transportation. A UC Davis study found nearly half of all college students bike to school. CSUN Sustainability Coordinator Clayton Scott says the Lime bikes on the CSUN campus were better for the environment.
Bikes, after they're made, just rely on human power versus using other forms of transportation like cars or even like flying or taking a train.
The bike sharing program offered CSUN students who don't drive a fast and friendly way to commute to campus. Now with the removal of Lime bikes from CSUN, the bus riding population may increase. Lime has officially ended its contract with CSUN. All Lime bikes and signs advertising Lime will be removed by March 19th, but they're still renting scooters.
One solution to the problem of school shootings is to arm teachers, but most school teachers don't agree. It's been a year since the fatal shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School. A survey conducted by CSUN social worker Professor Lauren Wilner says teachers don't want firearms in the classroom. CSUN's Department of Secondary Education Professor Kathleen Rowland says teachers shouldn't have guns in the classroom.
Believe strongly in the Second Amendment. Guns are not for shooting people, and I always worry about the gun getting misappropriated by the wrong person who wants to use it for the wrong thing.
Wilner's email and social media survey got responses from approximately 3,000 educators from all 50 states. Most teachers are women, as was the sample. CSUN's Educational Leadership and Policy Studies Professor Jack Bagwell says he has some concern about teachers having guns.
That we all of a sudden begin to redefine what it means to be a teacher, and that includes that you would be carrying firearms in the classroom or potentially arming yourself to protect students. Philosophically, I'm opposed to that because I don't think that that's the purpose of being a teacher, is to also be someone who is going to carry arms or have weapons in the classroom for protection.
95% of the teachers do not believe teachers should carry guns. Wilner is planning to share the results from her survey with public makers.
Traffic on Topanga Canyon Boulevard will be worse than usual this week. A section linking PCH to Grandview Drive will be reduced to a single lane with one-way traffic control. Crews are beginning a slope stabilization project after recent rains caused rock and mudslides. The section of Topanga Canyon, also known as Route 27, will be closed from 9 to 3 Monday through Thursday.
A famous disability convention made its way back to LA this weekend. Valley View News reporter Thomas De Jesus has more.
Innovation was the theme this weekend at the Los Angeles Abilities Expo. It made its way back to downtown for its 41st year. For the weekend, paraplegics and people with disabilities were able to come together at the convention center. They discovered new technologies to help make their lives easier.
They're coming here to look for products and services to make things easier, more efficient, help them gain more independence.
From wheelchairs to cars, different companies showcase their latest technologies tailored for the disabled. At the same time, these companies use the expo to advertise to the disabled, something that's needed much within the paraplegic community.
This stuff wouldn't be out anywhere else. We don't have commercials for it. There's no, if you're not in PT or if you haven't been in PT for a while, then you don't know about this stuff.
Other companies and some people sought to give inspiration to any visitors in need of it.
Yeah, my name is Mark Wellman, and this is my climbing wall right here.
In 1989, Wellman was the first paraplegic to climb the dangerous El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. Every year he attends the expo. He says he wants people like him to experience the thrill he did as a climber.
I think a lot of disabled people don't realize that climbing is available to them, and they might be scared about it, but we can, after they've seen maybe someone go up the wall, they say, hey, I want to try that too.
Advances in disability technology are evolving substantially, so expect to see the Abilities Expo emphasizing on them for many more years to come. In Northridge, I'm Thomas DeSuze, Valley View News.
Surveillance footage of a suspect in the attempted murder of a 63-year-old man has been released. The video shows the suspect entering a Maywood donut shop, walking up behind the victim and stabbing the man in the back. The attack happened on February 10th around 3 in the afternoon. The victim was treated for the injuries and is expected to survive. Deputies described the attacker as a Latino man between 25 and 30, about 5 feet 6 inches with a beard. He was last seen running north on Atlantic Boulevard.
Oakland teachers are striking for a third day. Teachers are asking for a 12% raise over 3 years, plus more nurses, counselors, and smaller class sizes. Reports suggest Oakland cannot afford a 12% pay increase. The district has committed to reduce class sizes by 1%, an increase by 8.5% over 4 years. One Oakland teacher says the district needs to offer more.
The district showed us that they are not prepared to stop the teacher retention crisis. They're not prepared to have smaller class sizes. They are not prepared to provide resources for our students, and that is unacceptable.
School officials say classes will continue during the strike.
A bodyguard for a Bay Area news crew is expected to be okay after the crew was attacked while covering that teacher's strike in Oakland. The retired Berkeley police officer is in stable condition. Police say members of the KPIX 5 crew were robbed while gathering interviews and their bodyguard was shot in the leg. Reports say 2 suspects pulled a gun on the reporters. Journalists Joe Vasquez and John Anglin had handed over their equipment when they heard the shots.
He came out of the car with a gun in hand, basically saying, "Give up the camera, I want the camera." I just walked away and said, "Take it, it's yours."
Police say they've made arrests and some of the equipment has been recovered.
Governor Newsom's plan to cut the state's $77 billion high-speed rail project led President Trump to cancel $1 billion already promised. $2.5 billion federal dollars were given to California. Now Trump wants that money back. Originally, the high-speed rail was meant to connect San Francisco and LA. It was scaled back to link Bakersfield and Merced. The state wants to recover all federal grants promised.
CSUN's Language, Speech, and Hearing Center is offering treatment for Parkinson's patients who need help with speech. Trained professionals and students are teaching them how to strengthen their voices. One patient says it gives him hope.
I was at first in denial, and now I've accepted it, but I've accepted it as something that I can conquer.
The Parkinson's Foundation research says nearly 10 million people are diagnosed worldwide. Symptoms include tremors and difficulty moving, but speech can also be impaired. CSUN's program is funded by the Parkinson Voice Project. Patients are given a series of 12 private sessions. After that, they join a group called the Loud Crowd. CSUN's Language, Speech, and Hearing Center's Janice Woolsey says it's the most important part of the program.
People with Parkinson's tend to feel isolated. And to have a place where they can come and be together is just so important.
Woolsey wants the program to expand to patients throughout the county. She wants them to spread the word so more people can get help.
More than 160 million people are under winter weather warning in the eastern United States. 2 inches of snow is still expected in Washington, D.C., as well as Boston, Buffalo, and New York. Blasts of cold air will be hitting the Northeast every few days. 1 person has died in Tennessee as a result of heavy flooding. Roads are still closed in certain parts of the state through Thursday. The cold weather is expected to continue until March.
CSUN is celebrating Black History Month with a performance of the Fannie Lou Hamer story. Performance artist Mzuri Moyo Mbaye brings Hamer to life in her one-woman show. Hamer was a civil rights activist who was jailed and beaten for exercising her right to vote. She also encouraged others to do the same. The show follows Hamer's humble beginnings to her testimony at the 1964 Democratic Convention. Many say that testimony helped pass the Voters' Rights Act the next year. And Baye says Hamer's story personally helped her persevere through life. She wants the show to inspire others to persevere as well.
Fannie Lou Hamer's rage was channeled, mine wasn't, so I felt that doing this performance, writing this play and performing it after 18 years, I've had a way to channel my anger and my life is so much better.
The show was sponsored by CSUN's Africana Studies Department, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this month. Well, what do you think of that, Kimberly? That's a pretty phenomenal story right there.
It's a pretty inspiring story to hear about a woman like that.
Yeah, and speaking of the performing arts, the Oscars were last night. Did you tune in?
Definitely I did. Lady Gaga's and Bradley Cooper's performance was outstanding.
I wish I could have seen it. We're going to toss to Valley View News reporter Bridget Creamer with the latest in entertainment. Bridget?
Thanks, Natalia. On Sunday, the 2019 Academy Awards show honored Hollywood's best films. Here's reporter Samantha Rodriguez with the story.
And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to...
This year's Academy Awards is more diverse than ever before. The 2019 Oscars took a major step forward with wins for people of color. Regina King took the win for Best Supporting Actress in If Beale Street Could Talk, Mahershala Ali for Best Supporting Actor in Green Book, and Rami Malek for Best Actor in Bohemian Rhapsody. Other films that took major wins at the Academy included the Netflix original Roma for Best Cinematography and Foreign Language Film. Director Alfonso Cuarón also won for Best Director. The Academy also had some surprising wins. This year's Best Picture went to Green Book, despite the film's controversy. Some viewers were also shocked when the win for Best Actress went to Olivia Colman in The Favorite.
Glenn Close, you've been my idol for so long, and this is not how I wanted it to be.
Spike Lee took the win for Best Adapted Screenplay for BlacKkKlansman. Lee jumped into Samuel Jackson's arms before giving his acceptance speech.
Make the moral choice between love versus hate. Let's do the right thing.
Melissa McCarthy announced Ruth E. Carter as the first African-American woman to win Best Costume and Production Design for Black Panther. Queen and Adam Lambert opened the show performing the band's biggest hits like We Will Rock You. Other performances included Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper with the award-winning original song Shallow and A Star Is Born. With no host, the 91st Academy Awards show was not so bad.
Oscar ratings were up 12% this year. The show had 29.6 million viewers. That's more than last year, but still less than 2017. It was the first hostless Oscars in 30 years. Also, the show was 40 minutes shorter than last year. The Washington Post said that TV critics have less to say because there was no host, just the usual celebrity presenters and musical performances. R. Kelly has pleaded not guilty to sexual assault charges in Chicago. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox has charged the R&B singer with 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse against 4 victims. 3 of them were underage at the time. Kelly's bond is set at $1 million. One of the alleged victims, Asante McGee, says she's happy that he is finally being indicted.
I started crying. It was tears of joy to know that we finally got an indictment after, 2 decades of him getting away with the allegations. It was a joyous moment for me.
Kelly was acquitted of similar charges in 2008. This past weekend saw a new box office leader. How to Train Your Dragon 3 premiered, racking up more than $55 million. The opening is the most successful in the Train Your Dragon franchise. It's also the biggest opening of 2019 so far. The second place was Alita: Battle Angel. Third went to Warner Brothers' The Lego Movie 2. That's all for entertainment today. Now back to you, ladies.
More to come on Valley View News. Hear the latest on the crisis in Venezuela.
And find out what country was voted the healthiest in the world. Stay tuned.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
CSUN's campus newspaper has a few stories in the works.
Here's Sundial reporter Ramona Kivett with details.
This week at the Sundial, we reported on a Klotz Student Health Center doctor who's been placed on administrative leave after 6 USC alumni together filed a lawsuit against him, accusing him of sexual abuse, discrimination, and other misconducts. We also reported on 3 proposed new student fees students will vote on in the April elections this semester. And finally, in sports, baseball sophomore Wesley Moore pitched a 2-hit shutout against Gonzaga, leading to a 3-0 victory in their second game of the series. That's all from the Sundial. Now back to you in the studio.
The atmosphere was like March Madness in the Matadome when CSUN's men took on UC Davis in a squeaker. Valley View News reporter Nicholas Logan was there for the action.
Cal State Northridge's men's basketball team hit a rough patch. They lost 4 straight games. UC Davis is visiting in what is now a must-win game for the Matadors. It was a back-and-forth game. The lead changed 11 times. The Matadors got the win in overtime thanks to Terrell Gomez's 11 points in those 5 overtime minutes.
He was playing to win the game, and that's one thing we talked about. We've had some leads in other games. We haven't closed it out. So we were able to close it out tonight, and I thought Terrell in overtime was a big reason for it.
Besides Gomez, the Matadors had big performances from 2 other players. Freshman Lamine Gian had 35 points while grabbing 11 rebounds. Rodney Rocket Henderson Jr. scored 15 points off the bench, and he hit 3 3-pointers. Coach Gottfried said the team needed these 3 guys to all contribute in order to win.
We're much better, obviously, when Rocket, Terrell, and Lamine, all 3 of those guys score the ball like they did, and Terrell in overtime I thought was just terrific.
The Matadors needed a win like this as March approaches. A back-and-forth overtime thriller can help the Matadors get attention. It's games like this that prepare teams for a date with March Madness. Terrell Gomez believes the win can propel the team.
It's all about what you do when you get to the tournament. So right now, we just hope that we can just continue to click. I feel like this is a really good win for us, and we got to just go forward from here.
Being a conference rival could help CSUN gain some momentum. They have 4 games left to get ready for tournament season. The Matadors look to win the Big West tournament and make their first March Madness appearance since 2009. In Northridge, I'm Nicholas Logan, Valley View News.
Now for updates on what's going on around the world, here's Veronica Barriga in our Digital Media Center.
Vice President Pence has announced sanctions against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Pence says the U.S. will freeze the nation's assets to try to cut off Maduro's cash flow.
Well, what brings us together today is the recognition by all the nations gathered here that Nicolas Maduro is a usurper with no legitimate claim to power. And Nicolas Maduro must go.
Protesters and Venezuela's military started fighting after soldiers blocked food and supplies from crossing the border in Colombia this weekend. Venezuela's National Guard fired tear gas and rubber bullets into the crowd. The UN Commissioner for Human Rights says 4 people were killed and about 300 injured. Self-appointed interim president Juan Guaido says he welcomes the aid because Venezuela is in crisis. Maduro says the aid efforts sent from the U.S. are just part of a plot to take over Venezuela's government. Britain is scheduled to leave the European Union in 32 days. British Prime Minister Theresa May has delayed a parliamentary vote on her Brexit deal once again. She is headed to Brussels tomorrow to try to revise the agreement. European Council President Donald Tusk agrees with that delay.
I believe that in the situation we are in, an extension would be a rational solution. But Prime Minister May still believes that she's able to avoid this scenario.
May says the Brexit deadline will be met despite the delayed vote. Pope Francis called Catholics who abuse children tools of Satan. He said it on the last day of the historic summit on the clergy sexual abuse. 114 bishops from around the world attended the Vatican summit. Sister Veronica Openido was one of only 3 women to speak.
The first step towards true transparency is to admit wrongdoing and then to publish what has been done.
The Pope called for an all-out battle against child abuse in the church, but no concrete steps to resolve the church's child abuse problems were given. Cuba has voted for a new constitution. 81% of the population cast ballots. The new constitution will add a prime minister and set term limits for the president. The document will also recognize private property. The Communist Party, led by former President Raul Castro, is still in control. The passage of the Constitution faced opposition by some Christian evangelical leaders, as it will open the possibility for legalization of same-sex marriage. President Miguel Diaz-Canel says the document will guarantee the rights of each citizen. That is all for international news. Back to you guys in the studio.
Now let's get the latest on health with Sandy Chavez.
National Eating Disorders Awareness Week started today with Mirrorless Monday. The event is hosted by JADE, Joint Advocates on Disordered Eating. It takes place throughout CSUN's campus. You can expect mirrors in bathrooms to be covered by green construction paper with positive messages. JADE's graduate coordinator Cindy Lucio says Mirrorless Mondays celebrates that everyone is beautiful and different in their own ways.
Essentially, we're covering mirrors so that and writing positive affirmations on there to kind of share the message and kind of make it like a campus-wide thing for everyone to kind of engage in.
Mirrorless Mondays gives students a chance to take a break from looking at themselves in a mirror for a day. They should focus on more than how they look. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has drafted a final rule to revise the Title X Family Planning Program. Title X provides more than $250 million in funding for reproductive health services, but the rule prohibits federal funding from being used for abortion and effectively defunding Planned Parenthood. Anti-abortion groups were quick to applaud this development. The president of Planned Parenthood says it's unethical and leaves many women without health care. The National Family Planning and Reproductive Health Association says it's ready to fight and may take legal action. Spain is the healthiest country in the world. Italy previously held that top spot. Bloomberg's Healthiest Country Index looks at life expectancy, drug use, and obesity. People in Spain and Italy eat Mediterranean diet, mostly of plant-based foods and less meat. Spain will have the highest lifespan by 2040. The healthiest countries include Japan, Switzerland, and Sweden. Researchers say the U.S. didn't make the top 20 because of high rates of overdoses, suicides, and obesity. That's all for today's health news. Back to you, ladies.
Coming up on Valley View News, Microsoft Office plans to cancel $500 million hardware contract with the U.S.
Also, President Trump says Amazon's failure to open an HQ2 will hurt New York's economy. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Valley View News. It's now time for technology news. Let's go to Byron Gonzalez to tell us more about the price of Huawei's new foldable phone.
Well, thanks, Kimberly, and I think you might want to apply for a new credit card for this one. Huawei has unveiled a new foldable phone that will top Apple and Samsung in price. The Mate X will cost over $2,500, almost $1,000 more than the Samsung Galaxy Fold. The device can switch from a 6.6-inch phone into a larger 8-inch tablet. Huawei says the phone will be released later this year. Microsoft and Albertsons agreed to try to create a better shopping experience for its customers, while also making a more productive environment for the grocery store workers. America's second largest grocery chain will make the software giant its preferred platform to compete with the recent partnership between Amazon and Whole Foods. A group of Microsoft employees are demanding the company cancel a nearly $500 million hardware contract with the U.S. Army. Last year, Microsoft won a contract to supply the Army with at least 2,500 prototypes of reality headsets that would digitally display information in front of a user's eyes. Twitter page Microsoft Workers for Good posted a link for employees to sign a petition to cancel the integrated visual augmentation system contract to stop developing weapon technologies. They have over 200 signatures as of today, with that number growing. Employees say the deal is designed to help kill people, and that has crossed the line. President Trump called Amazon's decision to abandon its HQ2 plans in Queens a big loss. Trump said Friday the $3 billion tax initiative was its biggest draw.
And the $3 billion wasn't a check. It was a form of taxes over a period of time that now they'll never see, because, you know, they were going to take in a lot of jobs. They were going to take in a lot of taxes.
The president said the company's decision to pull out was bad for the economy and for jobs. Well, that's it for technology news today. Let's go to Kimberly and Natalia for a couple's weddings in a very unusual but familiar place.
I do in aisle 2. That's what Isaiah Long and Kayla Peterson of Iowa said when they got married in the Muscatine Hy-Vee grocery store.
The newlyweds enter a contest to win a wedding ceremony and a reception hosted by the store owners. The wedding had everything the couples needed, like flowers, food, drinks, and even ring bearers. The groom says he was excited to win the contest because money is tight.
Well, the average cost of a wedding in this country is now at more than $25,000, and less than 50% of couples spend at least $15,000 on their wedding. So I wonder if they brought a coupon.
I wonder if the wedding was run up through 10 items in the checkout aisle.
Or did they take their vows as paper or plastic? I would have brought a tote bag.
That's pretty funny. That's all for us at Valley View News. Thank you for watching. I'm Kimberly Silverio.
And I'm Natalia Vivino. For news any time of day, go to our website, sundial.csun.edu. See you next week.